Hi everybody, welcome to Revitalise Meets, the business interview series on the Revitalise Connecting People YouTube channel. It's a chance for me to interview and to catch up with business professionals, entrepreneurs, business connections from across the global business network. And today is a great treat to have a gentleman with me who I've known now for nearly 5 years. He's been helping many people across the globe, and especially in hospitality, and most importantly, in sales. He's an author, he's a mentor, he's a speaker, and he's a trainer. He's got 2 wonderful books out right now called Selling Made Simple and also Winning More Sales. How to achieve sales success without being salesy. Can you please welcome us today for Revitalise Meets, the one, yes, but as always, the only, Mr. Barry Clark. Barry, how are you today?
Lee, very well indeed, and thank you very much indeed for the invitation, the opportunity to be with you here and your audience. Much appreciated.
You're more than welcome. It's took time. We eventually got you here to come and have a chat with us anyway. So
indeed,
we eventually got to that stage. You've done a lot over the last few years. You've been helping many companies, many individuals. Would you mind just sharing with our listening audience and our viewers a little bit about your business journey, where you came from and where you are right now?
Sure. Thanks indeed, Lee. I'll keep it potted because it goes back a wee while. The business journey probably started back in, I reckon it was 1988. I know I don't look that old, but back in 1988, school-time holiday jobs and first foray into the working environment in a restaurant kitchen in Edinburgh, where I grew up, originally from Edinburgh. I live in the west of Scotland now. And that led me into the career path of choice. I knew from an early age I wanted to work in the hospitality world for a number of reasons, but you know, that well-used phrase of I always felt as though I was a people person. And that brought me to a just over 30-year career in I suppose my corporate life, I would refer to it, in the hotel industry, from operational roles, then moving into many years in business development and sales roles, and eventually that brought me into the boardroom of running my own businesses there in the hotel world. That set me up very nicely for the work that I now do. And as you mentioned, our paths first crossed about 5 years ago. 2017 is when I took the step from employed life into setting up my own business. And, you know, there was a few motivations for that. I think one of which was I'd had the luxury in my last few years as an employee of effectively running my own business, but using someone else's money to take all the risks. Because I was running a sizable business on behalf of someone else, but huge levels of autonomy. And I came to a realization that, you know, I'd pretty much made myself unemployable because I was so used to operating myself and not having anybody managing me. So it was a logical step to then move into self-employment. So yeah, 2017, in about 10 days time, it will be the 5th anniversary of me setting up Dunedin Consultancy. And yeah, what a 5 years it's been. You know, bit of a roller coaster, figuring out what I was going to do. And now, you know, the business today really operates in 3 spaces. They're kind of interlinked, but there's three specific areas I'm working. You kindly mentioned my background in hospitality, and yes, I do work as a hospitality consultant, predominantly with hotels, but also with restaurants, holiday accommodation and such. And it's very much about business growth in that world, which, as you can imagine right now, there's a fairly big need for the hospitality sector to get re-established and once and for all come out of everything we've been going through for the last couple of years. The core area is my sales training. And, you know, one of the really strong messages, that is the topic which starts 99% of the conversations that I have with people. It's the conversation starter. Then sometimes, you know, the work can head off in a slightly different direction. But I have fortunately been able to establish myself very much as the go-to person for advice in selling skills, sales processes, and helping to overcome the message that I hear on a daily basis from people, which is still on a day-by-day basis, I'll meet business owners who tell me I don't do sales. I don't like selling. And yeah, that reaction says it all, Lee, because a high proportion of the people who say that to me are solo business owners, which inevitably leads me to ask the question, okay, that's fine. If you're not doing sales, then who is? And the hard answer is, in reality, the usual answer is nobody. And then that then leads into the third area, which really has developed over the last couple of years, which is the focused business coaching and mentoring that I do with business owners and entrepreneurs, which is an offshoot of the sales training that I started doing in the last 5 years. So yeah, it's been a fascinating time. It's been a bit of a roller coaster. We just had a small global health crisis and economic situation in the midst of all of that, but still here and fighting strong.
Yeah, just a small little glimmer, something that's happened over the last few years. We've changed the dynamics. Just a little thing. Just a little thing that happened. But it's interesting though when you speak to many people. Well, we've both been in the sales industry for 30 plus years, etc. And sales to me is relationship building, and it's creating those relationships that people get to know you a lot better, and that's when a transaction usually happens from that. And some people think it's too salesy, which I can appreciate. And it's that reaction that you normally get from many business or solopreneurs that feel that way. So that's a really good point to really bring into that. And thanks for sharing that as well, Barry. With everything that's been going on in the last couple of years, what's been your biggest challenge that may have turned into one of your largest achievements with your business journey? So for people watching and listening today, they may be going through a similar type of position with their business. So how have you overcome your challenges to turn into a big achievement for you?
I think, the biggest challenge that probably most of us have faced over the last couple of years, Lee, is that sense of events which are out with our control. All of us who are either running a business for someone else or who own our own business, a lot of the decision-making factors, the influences have been taken out of our control. The economy being shut down as it was for such a long period of time. Now, you can be a victim, you can let things happen to you and be reactive, or you can take a step back and say, okay, here's the deck that we've been dealt. What are we going to do? How are we going to deal with this? How are we going to address it? So, I think that uncertainty, the health worries, the economic worries over the last couple of years it's knocked a lot of people sideways. They just had no idea how to react to it. As somebody, you and I were both at an event a couple of days ago, and as someone said to me there, for every crisis that happens, there are opportunities which are created. I think that was very much my viewpoint 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago to the day that we had to start taking this thing seriously, and thought, okay, how do we get through this? More importantly, my first reaction was, I've got a group of clients who I'm working with to train and to coach and to mentor. How am I going to get them through this as well? And that helped me to take my mind off what's the impact going to be in my business? Am I going to lose clients? Am I going to lose revenue? Because I just really focused myself on, okay, my group of clients, how am I going to get them through this? And, in terms of what's one of my biggest successes, without sounding too arrogant, my business has come through the last 2 years stronger than it's ever been. And each of my clients now has a business that's stronger than it was in February, March 2020, when all of this happened. And that's because we've hunkered down, we've focused on the cores, we've focused on their customers and how can we maintain those really strong, positive relationships. And it just shows, I think it's easy to focus on all the negatives that's happened the last couple of years. And heaven knows I could have done that. One of my core markets is the hospitality sector. Any work that I was doing in the hospitality world stopped overnight in February 2020, even before the lockdowns started. My hospitality work stopped overnight. So my approach was, okay, that's not going to happen for a while. What else can I be doing? Who else can I be helping? And focusing on other areas. And it's the same path that I followed with my clients to make sure that they got through this.
It's a big point that as well. It's adapting to the environment. And everyone gets, something thrown at you at some point. You've got to be able to move quickly on your feet, think about a different angle or different direction, still keeping in the same, purposely moving forward, but just adjusting it by that just 1% or that change that's in there as well. I think it's extremely important, Barry. Yeah,
maybe one of the factors that might have helped in that respect, you know, I'm old enough and I've been in business long enough that this isn't the first time that I've faced this kind of situation. Now, I think it would be fair to say COVID and the pandemic has been a more extreme version.
Yeah.
But I worked through the 2008, 2009 recession. The company I worked for at the time went into administration. I worked through 9/11. I've worked through some of these crises, which, you know, life is cyclical, and every 5 to 10 years, something comes along that shakes everything up. Yeah. So, you know, whilst there was a huge amount of unknown in 2020 when we moved into the pandemic era, I guess there was a bit of me in the back of my mind saying, well, here we go again. You know, we will come through this. We will get out the other side. And I think, you know, the key factor is none of us back in 2020 would have thought 2 years later we'd still be sitting where we are today. You know, we're in a far better place than we've been. But, you know, it's a little bit controversial, but my own opinion is, you know, life will never go back to how it was 2018, 2019. You know, a lot of people talk about getting back to normal. We're already here. This is it.
Yeah, we are here right now. We are in a normal stage. And in fairness, the world's never been more open than what it is right now. And especially from a business perspective, there's more ways of communicating to one another across the globe that there was never there. Well, it was there before, but we never embraced it. It was there, but we never used it. Now it's opened up so many doors of opportunity.
Yeah. And I'm the prime example of that, Lee. You know, I now have a couple of clients in my portfolio. I can only work digitally with them. They're not in central Scotland. A client in the far north of Scotland, a client down in South Wales. I couldn't possibly deliver my services for them face to face.
Yeah.
So the nudge, the shove that I needed to move my work online has actually been really beneficial.
Yeah, I think it has been for many people. And many people me and you spoke to just this week, being at a live event face to face, having this hybrid offering now. Again, the opportunities are being created because of this as well. And I think, yeah, it's a lot easier now to work digitally and to get in touch with someone so much quicker as well. With everything with sales, I love this next question. It's about golden top 3 tips. Yeah. For everybody's watching and for listening, and they may be in a position where they're in a role, or they may be running their own business, or they could have just started up their own business. Yeah. What would be your advice to them for creating a really effective sales process? What would be your top 3 golden nuggets of top tips for them who are listening?
Yeah, it's a great question, Lee. And, you know, number one for me is have a process. Now, you know, I talk to a lot of people who, you know, have this mindset that sales somehow is kind of, you know, dark arts and mysteries out of Harry Potter. I can dispel all of that. You know, the ability to be able to sell and promote your products and services, it's a set of skills. It's a set of skills that anybody can learn if they want to. And, you know, as humans, we like to put a lot of barriers in the way there of, being too salesy, being too pushy, being a Del Boy character. We're creating all of those barriers in our own mind. So tip number 1 is to have a process. Which, you know, then the key elements of that process. Number 2, be yourself. Yeah. Now that might sound a bit of an odd one, but be your authentic self. You've already mentioned in this conversation how much sales and the ability to sell something is about building relationships. Right. It's all about being able to build rapport and earn the trust of the person that you're entering into a commercial relationship with. And that all comes down to the human factors. Now, I meet an awful lot of people in the business, I'm sure you do as well, an awful lot of people in the business world who somehow feel the need to try and be someone different from who they are. And the thing is, it shows. It's blatantly obvious. And you're really going to struggle in those circumstances to build any rapport, and most importantly, to earn the trust of the person who potentially can be your customer. Nobody will buy from you if they don't trust you.
Correct.
It is as simple as that. Nobody will buy from you if they do not trust you. And, you know, it's such an important part of any sales process that you follow, whether it's mine or anyone else's. Mm-hmm. So tip number 2 is don't try and be somebody who you're not. Be yourself. Be your authentic self. Yeah. And the thing is, that is what makes your business, my business, stand out from all the others.
Correct.
You know, none of us have unique businesses. We all have competitors. We all have other people who do similar things to what we do. But in a different sense, each and every one of us has a unique business, because there's no other 𝗲𝗏𝗡𝗄𝗏 in the world. There's no other Barry Clark in the world. And ultimately, the clients who come and do business with yourself, Lee, the clients who come and do business with me, they are ultimately doing business with Barry Clark, with Lee Foster.
Yeah.
And that is what makes us all stand out from any of the other sales trainers, business coaches, network facilitators that there are in the world. So embrace it, be yourself.
Yeah.
And number 3, it's so obvious, it's so simple, but make it all about the other person. Now, ultimately, if you want to build rapport, if you want to earn trust of somebody in order to enter into a purchasing relationship, you've got to make it all about them. And some of the funniest situations, some of which are recounted in the books, where I have seen salespeople talk themselves out of a transaction because they've made it all about themselves, the salesperson. They've not made it all about the customer. Now, one of the things I learned in my past, we touched on my hospitality past, and part of that, I spent many years operating in the wedding and events space. Now, if you're getting married, you've just got engaged with somebody, you're planning your wedding, you go to look at a venue that you're thinking of hosting your wedding at. But just think of it, if you walk through the door and the conversation is all about them, if it's all about, have you got a date for the diary? What's your menu? Well, you might have this room, but let me show you that room instead. And this is how we do things. I don't know about you, but I would be thinking, not for me. And one of the big wedding venues that I ran a number of years ago, we just turned that completely on its head. And all we did, somebody came in and said, "Oh, we've just got engaged." Fantastic. "Oh, congratulations. Amazing. Tell me all about it. Did you ask? Did they ask? Who did the question? Where did you do it?" Because here's the thing, people love to talk about one subject. They love to talk about themselves. So when you make the conversation all about the other person, you are immediately building rapport, and you're taking some really quick steps on that journey of earning trust. So all I had to do with people was, I would ask about the engagement, who asked, where was it, how did they do it? And then I only ever had to ask one question. I bet you've been, in the back of your mind, you've been dreaming about what your ideal wedding's going to look like, haven't you? Yeah. Nobody ever said no to me. Tell me all about it.
Yeah.
And I would just sit back.
Yeah.
And for about 15, 20 minutes, the couple, whoever it might be, would just tell me everything that I needed to know. And they would tell me some really quite personal stuff of what was important to them. So guess what? I didn't have to sell the product, because all I needed to do was, okay, you've told me this is really important to you. Let me show you how we're going to turn that into reality. It really is that simple. So yeah, have a process, because then you don't have to worry about what you're doing next. You're following a process. Yeah. Be yourself, be your authentic self, and make it all about the customer. Yeah. That would be my 3 golden tips.
Brilliant tips. I hope you've wrote those down and took them down somewhere if everybody's watching and for listening as well, because I think, the relationship part of it and reflective on the other person, identifying, really finding out about them, which all comes down to, Barry, like active listening skills, really, and just being a complete sponge. I was brought up on that, really, and just qualifying questions, probing questions. You want to get in there and really find out about the individual themselves. Don't talk about you, find out about them. And even in networking sense, that's a great point. Exactly the same way as well. It's just identify the other person and really get to know them. And it should be vice versa as well. I'm
sure you get asked this all the time. So often I get asked the question, Lee, how do you have a conversation with a complete stranger? It's really simple. It's really, really simple. Ask them about themselves.
Yes.
How was your journey? Have you had a good day here this morning? Yeah. Are you enjoying your visit to the show? There's 3 questions straight off the bat. Make it about the other person and give the other person permission to talk about themselves. Nobody ever says no.
No, very true. Some really good points there. Really, really good points. Thank you for answering a few questions today. Really appreciate it, Barry. And the last part of it really is, what's next for you? For everybody's, again, listening in and watching us today, what's the next door of opportunity for Barry Clark? What's around the corner for you?
What's around the corner for me? It's a very timely question, actually, Lee. Very soon, I'll be bringing a whole new product to market. The focus for the last 12, 18 months has been really about building my one-to-one coaching business, which, you know, I'm very grateful to everybody that's come on board with me, because that's proved very successful. And it's very rewarding when I see people grow and achieving great things. Reality is, you know, there's only one of me and there's only so much time in the day. So there is a glass ceiling on how much of that work I can do. So 2022 is all about expanding my digital portfolio. So very soon, a brand new product called the Sales Success Program will be coming to market. And that's an exciting blended hybrid online and in-person sales training program. For those who don't have the time or don't have the means to come to me for that, people will be able to do that online. It's a 6-module online training course, very interactive, but the unique thing, it also includes one-to-one time with me. So it's not just a death by PowerPoint. Well, it's not a death by PowerPoint at all, but it's not just a, you know, click through or 3 screens. Yeah. You get one-to-one dedicated tutorial time with me. So that's an exciting thing. And that's my big step into having that secondary income stream that doesn't need a huge amount of my resource and time into it. And then carrying on helping businesses across central Scotland, across the UK, to grow, to overcome their issues with business development and with selling, and you know, helping out some great people and some great businesses.
Brilliant, Barry. It sounds like an exciting time for you as well. It's coming up soon. And for everybody who's listened to that as well and heard the exciting news that you're going to be bringing out, the online training and everything else as well, and the books, how can they make contact with you? What's the best route of action of getting in touch with Barry Clark? Really
simple and straightforwardly. You'll find me on LinkedIn. That's the easiest and most straightforward way to find me. Barry Clark MIH is my tag. I'm always asked about the MIH. I'm a member of the Institute of Hospitality. That's what the MIH is about. And there's a few other Barry Clarks on there, so it helps to clarify it's me. You'll find me on LinkedIn there. You can connect with me. I'll when this is going out, I'm sure we'll be able to tag in my digital business card as well, where people come straight through. If you're on the web, you'll find me at DunedinConsultancy.co.uk, or just pick up the phone. Through my LinkedIn and on the website, you'll find a phone number, and it's nice to talk.
It is good to talk.
Electronically these days, it's nice to talk.
There's so many people these days that forget to actually phone you. Pick up the phone and speak to somebody.
Indeed. And the last thing I would mention, Lee, we met at one of the hashtag events earlier this week, and there's many of them coming up around the country. If anybody would like to hear more about what I do, perhaps they'd like to hear me speak, I will be on the stage at the Belfast Business Show coming up in April, and I'll also be on the stage at the Scottish Business Show in May, right here in Glasgow. Brilliant. So a couple of opportunities where people can come and meet me in person.
Well, I'll be seeing you in May because I'll be a visitor at the C7 Conference Centre. And also I may be seeing you in April as well, because there's something I'm working with hashtag to come across and join us in Belfast as well on that day. So absolutely superb. So if everybody's watching and listening, I would highly recommend that you reach out to Barry, really delve into his knowledge and expertise from sales, from various industries, but again, looking at how you can make it even better and expand and grow your sales opportunities within your business, or most importantly, within your role, if it's in a corporate sort of position as well. Highly recommend reaching out and organizing that one-to-one virtual cup of coffee. You'll put the virtual kettle on for you. You can have a good natter and chat. But thank you very much, Barry, for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure, Lee. Really appreciate the opportunity, and it's always good to talk to you.
No trouble at all. And thank you to you all for watching and for listening today. Stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe to the Revitalise Connecting People YouTube channel to be kept up to date on many more Revitalise Meets interviews and other videos coming very soon to help you to bridge the gap and to network a lot more effectively. Again, thanks again. Stay safe, stay healthy. And as always, remember, everybody, keep connecting. Take care. Bye-bye for now.